Paulie Malignaggi talking about Tank would never fight a guy like Teo. What are you talking about? Paulie says his resume is one Uber driver after another. So who did he fight before Lamont Roach? Oh yeah, Frank Martin, to make you look crazy, right? And this is what Frank Martin did to him. And he's like, no, I don't want to hear from Tank fans. And what are you talking about, bro? And then here's the thing. If Tank fans do whatever you said not to do, then what? What are you going to do, bro?
Boxing as far as being that good and being that dominant, even though no matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights where you can get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? With Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez.
Paulie fights this dude. He got a record of 13-6. He only has 4 knockouts. He's been knocked out 3 times. Just look at it. Paulie Malignaggi left blind and severely swollen after bare knuckle win. Hey, Andy, I thought we were friends to the end. Hold on, bro. Tell me this. Paulie ain't on this. Hold on. Let me pull it up for y'all. I'm going to pull it up. I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. Bro, this looked like Paulie right there. Same energy. And you keep talking about Tank. You worried about Tank. You need to be worried about some other things. Look, tell me, it's not. Ade Dewey Dembalaya Tuesday May. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxingego UNPACKED. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. I didn't want to have to do this, but y'all made me. Paulie Malignaggi continues to disrespect and attack Gervonta Tank Davis, and in this video, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you the actual factuals, let you know what Paulie had to say, then you gotta hear what I gotta say in this video. So let your boy do his magic, and let's get unpacked. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, shout out to everybody for rocking with me as we approach the holidays. Sometimes the holidays brings out the worst in people. And I feel like negative people sometimes become more negative in the holidays. I don't know what it is. You'll see people driving all crazy and honking, and I don't know. I'm not a Grinchy person in that way. So I can't really speak on what causes people to do it. But add Paulie Malignaggi to that list. He talking reckless. He talking crazy about Gervonta Davis. And I'm going to give you guys the luxury of hearing what I have to say. And I'll let you hear what he had to say, right? So let me get set up. I don't want to waste nobody's time. This thing on. So yeah, Paulie, it's so shocking to hear it because it sounds so stupid that I can't even go into the video without letting you hear it first. Roll the clip.
Shakur is extremely talented and could be the face of boxing as far as being that good and being that dominant, even though no matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights where you can get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? With Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez in his life. This fight is that damn good. Shakur is supposed to win, but Teofimo is the dangerous X factor that could be maybe the only guy who on his night is so damn good he may be able to beat Shakur.
Boom. So you guys just heard it. Paulie talking crazy. So much rubbish, I don't even know where to truly begin. So let me try to regroup after what he said. So let me get this straight. In an effort to sell Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez, he randomly sends shots and shoots a stray at Gervonta Davis. What? This has got to be a sickness. Like, we had the Rona in 2020, but Tank derangement syndrome is an epidemic. It's the new pandemic. Let me explain this, and then I'll get to some of his claims. For a guy who is so horrible, such a bad person, not a good fighter, fights Uber and cab drivers, the sport moved on from him, he's a bad person, he's short, he's not a good ambassador for the sport, and all these things that people throw on Tank and say about the man, these continue to speak this man's name. It is really, at this point, it got to be a sickness, because if Tank is all these things that you're saying, why is he the bar? Right? Like, you have a podcast or whatever's going on, and you think Teofimo versus Shakur is an amazing fight. For me this is me being honest. It's not a horrible fight, but I'm not super excited about the fight. I probably would have been maybe 4 years ago, give or take 3-4 years ago. I would have been more hyped, right? Because I think that was a place for that particular fight, right? Like, let's say Teofimo beat Josh Taylor in his next fight with Shakur. Maybe whenever that is, right around there, I would have been more thrilled and more happy with it, period. The reason why I'm not like elated about the fight now is because there's a couple reasons. For one angle is the fact that Shakur is coming off a performance where he tried to let his nuts hang a bit, right? Against William Zepeda. So for me, based on what Shakur said in the post-fight of the Zepeda fight, I believe that's done. He got that off his chest. That's not how he typically fights. So now he got that out of his system with a guy you can do that with. Shakur, I think he's a smart fighter. And I think he's smart enough to know that coming out early in a style that's not really yours to show the crowd, no Tom and Jerry and all that type of stuff, it worked out, and you can do something like that with William Zepeda. One-dimensional, all he does is throw a lot of punches, right? And his power was overstated, right? And he didn't have good experience, and he wasn't coming off of brilliant performances. He was coming off performances, I thought he got exposed versus Tevin Farmer. And he had an injury before that. Everything I just said was facts. Now, the difference between me and other content creators, everything I'm saying about a situation or a fighter now is what I said before. There's a lot of people, they want to be like me. They want to do like Boxingego, But what they do is they're shapeshifters. And when something happens in boxing, there's a need to like switch up. Then they'll like morph into whatever the current talking point is, and they'll act like I've been right here the whole time. But me, I got a body of work that is all online. I have never deleted none of my videos. I don't delete tweets. If I tweeted it, I meant it, and I never deleted it. Never. If I put out a video, I meant it, I said it, I'm with that, right? Never deleted a video because I said something and then regretted it or whatever. Or somebody told me I had to delete. It just never happened, right? So I say it in real time. I say it before it happens. And then that's why I can easily say, like, for example, Terrence Crawford fighting Canelo. I told you Canelo, there's been some slippage. So the Bud Buddies, they can get mad at me and be like, oh man, Ego, you're hating on Crawford's victory. I gave him credit for it. I'm not hating on him. Everything I said about Canelo after the fight was what I said about Canelo before the fight. So that's how that works. A lot of people not the same. They'll wait for something to happen in boxing and then they knew everything. Like, man, I told you, and you didn't really tell. Everything I said about that is reality about William Zepeda. So Teofimo, he also is one of them people where he's like a weird fighter almost, right? He has skill, he has talent, but then sometimes mentally he seems like out of here. Kambosos fight, right? And it's weird. It's like when you count him out, he typically does better. Like Lomachenko and Josh Taylor fights, you think he could lose, then that's where he shows up, right? I don't know if people had him losing to Barbosa, but that's another example, possibly, because I think some people, because Barbosa is pretty big, so I think some people had Barbosa winning that fight, right? And then Teo performs. Then you put Teo in with somebody that you don't think will beat him, Jermaine Ortiz or Sandor Martin, and I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking about the public, the populace. You put him in with these Sandor Martins and Jermaine Taylors and George Kambosos, and even guys like Steve Claggett, even though he did win the fight, or Pedro Campa, and then he either wins the fight and don't really look great, or arguably lost the fight, like Jermaine Taylor, Sandor Martin. He even said post-fight, man, I still got it, man. Like he was questioning himself. So that's another reason I'm not like super hyped up. But back to Paulie, because I don't want to get too distracted. The bottom line is this. If you love the fight, I wanted to give you guys some insight why I'm not super hyped for the fight. To me, the fight is rather mid. And if you watch my video or watch the press conference, the conference was pretty trash. It's pretty cringeworthy, right? The jokes didn't really land. The energy seemed very, very low. And there was no like quotables. There was just nothing that really would hype you up like some of the better fights and fight cards where you have like an intense face-off or very good quotables and trash talking. I didn't really see that. So I'll watch the fight because I have a channel, but my energy towards the fight at this point is not on 10. Let's be clear. It is not a 10. It's nowhere near a 10. Maybe they can do something to heighten, how I feel about the fight. But right now, it's not there. The fight it's in December. The fight's in a month, basically. So good luck promoting it. And we don't have an undercard. Ticket prices are high. And then you got Paulie like, this is the best fight, blah, blah, blah. It's a decent fight. It's a decent fight. Because with Teo, you never know what version of him will show up. And he says all these like off-color comments about black people. It's just corny, right? Keyshawn, somebody sent him bananas and watermelon. He doing a video laughing with a jungle fever hat or something stupid. I'm too grown for that type of corny stuff. Then for Shakur, he's a good fighter, but he kind of delusional too, saying crazy stuff, and I don't even know how the fight's going to be. That's just being completely fair. When two people who are thinkers and counterpunchers, you never know what type of action you're going to get. But why did this man, Paulie Malignaggi, randomly bring up Tank? Somebody in the comments, let me know. What did any of this have to do with Tank? These people are obsessed with Tank, and it is very, very peculiar to me. Because again, as I said at the beginning of this Unpacked video, if Tank is not all of these things, and he is a terrible fighter, terrible person, and you hate everything he brings to the game, wouldn't the best thing be to not speak on him? Talk about NOA. These dudes are head over heels in love with guys like NOA, guys like Usyk, right? Guys like Bam Rodriguez, and they barely talk about these people. How come Paulie Malignaggi is not talking about Usyk was in the Rock movie that just got a Golden Globe nomination, The Smashing Machine, and being like, oh man, Usyk did his thing and he has a career in acting? Or tell me something about Bam Rodriguez. What's he up to? Tell me something about NOA. They never, the old media will tell you they love these fighters. These are the best fighters. These are the fighters, even Terrence Crawford, right? They'll talk highly of all these fighters, and then they never talk about them. And then the fighter that you think is half-stepping, Tank, right? You talk about this man nonstop. Like, these dudes is fake. It's all fake. You know what gets the views. Talking about Floyd Mayweather, talking about Tank, guys like that. They don't even really talk about Canelo. And he's supposed to be they'll tell you that Canelo's the face of boxing, but then they'll talk about everything Floyd did and who Floyd co-signed and Floyd Mayweather this and what he posted or what Tank did, right? Very truly bizarre, right? So that's one issue. Why not give him the silent treatment, right? His fight with Jake Paul's off. Jake Paul's now fighting Anthony Joshua allegedly, right? Well, what even brought Tank up? Why is Tank even like in your mind rent-free randomly? Just praise Shakur and Teofimo. And he's like, no, I don't want to hear from Tank fans. And what are you talking about, bro? And then here's the thing. If Tank fans do whatever you said not to do, then what? What are you going to do, bro?
Boxing, as far as being that good and being that dominant, even though no matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights where you can get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? With Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez in his life. This fight,
bro, and this is the information that y'all are relying on in boxing. First of all, Tank was sparring Teofimo Lopez a long time. Tank was like 18, and Teofimo was 16 or whatever the age difference is. So he already is familiar with Teofimo and what Teofimo does well and doesn't do well. Second of all, Teofimo has not looked like this complete phenom since the Lomachenko fight, right? He lost to somebody like George Kambosos, who is not like considered a world beater. So what are you talking about? Tank would never fight a guy like Teofimo Lopez, right? What even, like, Teofimo barely was scraping by with Steve Claggett, and it wasn't like this great, amazing, like, put David Benavidez with a Steve Claggett and tell me how that fight looks. David Benavidez would tear up a Steve Claggett level person. So Teofimo, even in his fight with Barbosa, he did his thing, but then kind of coasted it a little bit towards the end. This wasn't like this performance that was like so destructive, everybody would stay away from him. And I'm not taking anything away. Tio can fight. He got a cool record. He's never been stopped, and he only lost to Kambosos. But again, what world is Paulie Malignaggi living in? So Tio fought Barbosa, looked pretty sharp early, and then kind of like fizzled out. Before that, in 2024, he did mid with a guy with a 38-7-2 record in Steve Claggett in Miami that nobody even knew. The same year, he fought Jermaine Ortiz, and a lot of people, including myself, thought he won the fight, Jermaine Ortiz, and Tio should have lost the fight. Before that, he did great with Josh Taylor in 2023, right? So I have no complaint with the Josh Taylor performance. But to be honest, how Josh Taylor looked in the back half of his career, 19-3, losing all of his last fights, I really don't even, and I thought he lost to Jack Catterall. So when Teofimo beat him, he was coming off of a performance. See, this is why I don't care if you're a boxer, if you're a trainer. We talking real boxing. They can't with boxing ego. Book it. Tio fought a champion in Josh Taylor, right? He didn't fight him directly off the Jose Ramirez performance. He fought him off the Jack Catterall first fight, where if you watch the fight, there were so many people outraged saying that Josh Taylor really lost to Jack Catterall, including me. So again, it was solid because he beat a champ. See, you guys rely so much and heavily on rankings and who got the belt. That don't really even mean nothing these days. This ain't Sugar Ray Leonard's day where, all right, Ray Leonard a champion, he the real deal. It's not even like that no more. So yeah, Josh Taylor was a champion, but he really should have lost this fight. And then he came back months later and got cooked by Tio. And then he went on to rematch Catterall, lose. So Tio lost, Catterall rematch, lost, which is what the first fight should have been, right? So lost. And now he's retired, right? You're losing to whoever this is, Eskimo Usman. So you lost all your last. So to be honest, while y'all are raving about Tio's resume and stuff, he got a Lomachenko type of resume, 19-3. Just because he was in the World Boxing Super Series and he got the complexion for the protection, you got people like Paulie who will be like, man, that was such a great win. It was cool. But in hindsight, how good is Josh Taylor? Because he beat Ramirez. Who did Ramirez beat? Hooker? You know what I mean? Like, y'all be overrating and overdoing it. Like Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, y'all be overdoing it to the next level. Like this is Miguel Cotto or a prime Oscar de la Hoya we're talking about. Like Floyd Mayweather is the name that Teofimo beat. So right now I'm already cooking you. So the bottom line is Teofimo, if we really run it, the Barbosa Jr. fight, he did good earlier this year. Claggett was a mid type of performance last year. Jermaine Ortiz, I think he lost. Josh Taylor, I already went over in 2023. It was a good win for him and a champion win with a ranked guy or whatever. But again, my question is, how good was Josh Taylor for real? Because he beat Regis Prograis. He almost lost that fight anyway. And then you see kind of Regis Prograis losing to Jack Catterall and Devin Haney. We don't really know how good he is. Sandor Martin, before that, was Teofimo's fight at 140, right? And many people thought Teofimo lost his fight. He got dropped in round 2, as you guys can see. And then before that was his first fight at 140. We're talking about 2022 against Pedro Campa, and it took him heck around 7 rounds in order to drop or stop Pedro Campa. And then before that was Kambosos, and then before that was Lomachenko. So as I stated, Teofimo ain't had an opponent that we all can agree was like a very good fighter since the pandemic. That's 5 years ago. The best name on T.O.'s resume to me is Lomachenko because he hasn't fought Shakur yet. So it's Lomachenko. So that was your last like super impressive win. And Lomachenko, again, I still think there's elements of him that are overrated. When he fought T.O., he had a record of like 14-1. He lost to Salido. What are we talking about? And then you hear Paulie Malignaggi talking about Tank would never fight a guy like T.O. What are you talking about? You act like T.O. is this like craziest world beater ever. So that's one issue. What else did he say?
Any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez in his life.
So I've already went over that point. The other thing is me being a YouTuber, right? YouTubers always get like a bad rap, like, oh, you stupid YouTuber, what do y'all know? Like people always like talk down on YouTubers. But then you have a former fighter in Paulie Malignaggi, and he's disrespecting Tank's whole resume, saying Tank fights ice cream vendors and Uber drivers and the production team and truck drivers and taxi cab drivers, da. So it's funny how this works. Person like Boxingego, you got these fools will be like, oh man, these YouTubers, why do y'all listen to them? You hear fighters say that. Why y'all listen to these YouTubers? What do they know? I can't speak for every YouTuber, but I can speak for me. I don't really do that. If you listen to my content for more than 15 years, I'm not out here calling people truck drivers and disrespecting like elite level fighters, calling them bums and stuff. I make my points. Like I didn't call T.O. a bum. I didn't call Shakur a bum. I didn't call, you know what I mean? I'll say the way I do it, the way I finesse it is like Shakur fighting Nakathila. I'll say it's like a fight, a lower level fight or a fight that people didn't want to see, stuff like that. But I'm not outright insulting, calling these people like Uber drivers and stuff, which is what Paulie's doing. So you would think the fighter would have more regard and be able to curb his insults to fellow like warriors, right? That lace him up. But no, that is not the case. He's saying everyone Tank fights is an Uber driver, a truck driver. So you don't ever want to hear it. First of all, you're not going to control the narrative. You don't have that type of power. Then I'm just going to get busy. The other issue is Tank 30-0-1, the draw to Lamont Roach. Cool. And I'm gonna leave this up and I'm gonna play it again for you.
No matter how good you are. But this is one of the rare fights. One Uber driver after another. If Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. Nut huggers that he fights any of you Tank nut huggers that he want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers. Hear any of you Tank nut huggers. Hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight.
Okay. I don't want to hear any of you Tank huggers because he keeps fighting Uber drivers. This is the claim. This is what you guys are listening to. This is the like what we're supposed to be taking serious in boxing talk land and podcasting world, right? Uber driver. All right, so let's look at these said Uber drivers. His last opponent just fought over the weekend versus Pitbull Cruz. Why were y'all tuned in to see Lamont Roach? It was a pay-per-view, right? Versus Pitbull Cruz. These are two guys that Tank Davis fought already. So, once again, this is what Paulie's saying. This is how you know it's hate. The same podcast that Paulie's on had Lamont Roach recently after the Pitbull Cruz fight, and Paulie was giving him props for his ability to box, right? So you can't be like, oh, but Tank took a knee. Oh, It was a draw. You said he's fighting Uber drivers. He still fought Lamont Roach. He still signed up and picked Lamont Roach. I thought he beat Lamont Roach. So if you're going to make a comment saying he's only lining up and fighting Uber drivers and Best Buy managers and all this, whatever he was saying, right? Then why did you have Lamont Roach on your show and you was giving him props about how he made adjustments when he got hurt and he boxed Pitbull Cruz? Again, no matter who you had winning, Lamont Roach or Pitbull Cruz, Tank fought both of them. So where's the Uber driver? Where's the Uber driver? That's why I said Tank derangement syndrome is out of this world. The only people who are going to leave comments and get mad and be like, oh, Ego, you're in love with Tank and all that. They're going to say all this goofy stuff, but I promise you on everything I love, they will not prove me wrong. And if you cannot do that, then we ain't got nothing to talk about. You can say, oh, Ego, you love Tank. Oh, you're defending Tank and all that goofy stuff. But on my soul, you are not going to prove me wrong. So Lamont Roach just had a pay-per-view with Pitbull Cruz. These are two guys that Tank Davis already fought, and he beat Pitbull for sure. I thought he beat Lamont Roach, but even nonetheless, it was a draw. He didn't get cooked. He didn't get dropped, right? Moving on. Paulie says his resume is one Uber driver after another. So who did he fight before Lamont Roach? Oh yeah, Frank Martin. Frank Martin moves up, first fight in the weight class, fights a Cuban, and this is the aftermath. Changes trainers, makes some adjustments. Coming off a knockout loss where Tank brutally knocked him out, he moves up in weight, comes in shape, comes with a new game plan, new trainer, and produces a potential knockout of the year over a guy who has the ability. I don't care if you like Rances Bartholomew's style. I don't care. That's not what we're talking about. Rances is a guy who has the ability, right? He has the ability to make you look crazy, right? And this is what Frank Martin did to him. Instant wave off from the ref, right? So Rances is a guy, he's Cuban. He definitely looked bigger than Frank Martin, and you just seen the outcome. So Paulie's claim is Tank is fighting one Uber driver after another. I've already went over Roach. I've already went over Frank Martin. Ryan Garcia. Now, this was a money fight, so of course that fight was going to happen. But when Tank fought him, he was 23-0, and he had never lost. If Ryan, even though he's never been a champion, if Ryan Garcia is so bad, right? He's so terrible, then why do people keep watching his fights, right? Instead of being like, he's horrible, I hate watching him, it don't make sense, right? Moving on. Ryan Garcia has come out and claimed that he's fighting for another title against Mario Barrios. These are the facts. And they're finalizing it and finishing up the paperwork. So Mario Barrios, another guy that Tank has fought and knocked out. So he knocked out Ryan, right? Knocked out Ryan Garcia, and he knocked out Barrios. And now Ryan is supposed to fight Tank's leftovers for a title, because just like Frank Martin moved up and performed after a Tank knockout, Barrios, after the Tank knockout, moved up to welterweight and showed that he is a fighter, a good fighter, gave Keith Thurman issue, beat Ugas, almost stopped him, and then he came back and became a champion, right? So you guys got to watch where you're getting your information from. It's looking real shaky. This is who Tank is fighting, but they're saying he's fighting terrible people. But why do you want to see Ryan fight Barrios? Why did people want to see Roach fight Pitbull Cruz? Before that, he fought an Olympian in Hector Luis Garcia, right? Who Lamont Roach later fought. Then Rolly Romero, I don't have to get into him too much. Tank fought him when he was undefeated, and he just dropped and beat Ryan Garcia, and he became a champion again. He also fought Cruz, who Tank fought after Tank fought him, right? So Tank fights him, he becomes a champion again, loses his belt, and then he gets it again with Ryan Garcia. This is all factual history. So, and Rolly is bigger than Tank, and he's a dangerous puncher, so on and so forth. Before that, late replacement, it was supposed to be Rolly, but then they changed it to Pitbull Cruz. Before that, Mario Barrios. So, and then before that, Leo Santa Cruz, who's a Hall of Famer. And before that was Gamboa, who's an Olympian, right? And Crawford fought as well. So these dudes keep lying to you, saying that Tank is fighting nobodies, yet these nobodies fight each other, and then all of a sudden they're good fights, right? Tank, this is what happened to Floyd Mayweather. This is almost the same treatment. Floyd beat Miguel Cotto. They said, oh, but Miguel Cotto, he was shot warned. He was past it. So a smaller Floyd beats a bigger Miguel Cotto, and then they made excuses that Cotto was old. But then years later, Miguel Cotto fights Canelo, who's actually younger and bigger than Miguel Cotto, and it's an amazing fight. You see how that works? It's an amazing fight. Floyd fought a younger version of Cotto as the smaller fighter, moved up to 54 to do it. Cotto was old. I can't give Floyd no credit. But then years later, when Canelo was like making his name as the bigger fighter, Canelo fights and does worse than Floyd for real. That Cotto fight was pretty close for Canelo. You know what I mean? This is what they're doing to Tank. Tank beats him and fights him. They're bums. They're nobodies. But when they go on to fight other people, like when Ryan fought Oscar Duarte, that was a good win for Ryan. Oscar Duarte is doing his thing. He just beat Kenneth Sims. He beat Jojo Diaz. Ryan initially beat Devin Haney. You know, some people don't, there's an asterisk by it because he popped dirty for the Osterine, right? Rolly went on to beat Barroso by stoppage, even though there's a little controversy, lose to Pitbull. Then he beat Manuel James. Then he just knocked down Ryan and beat him and became a champion again. So Tank's resume is always like, by old media, they like rip it and say it's horrible, but then you're interested in Barrios' fights. Why did people watch Pacquiao? Why did Pacquiao fight Barrios after Tank though? Why didn't Pacquiao be like, I don't want to fight Barrios, he a bum, Tank only fight bums? Pacquiao came out of retirement to fight Barrios. Keith Thurman selected Barrios. Ugas selected Barrios, or these fights happen, right? Y'all got to make it make sense. But I know you can't, because I'm the best in the business and it's not even close. So yeah, Paulie looks goofy, in my opinion. He's like, you Tank in huggers,
Ever want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another? If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? With Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez in his life. This fight is that with Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that loses this fight. I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now? With Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my pizza. He fights the guys in the back that are doing the production. He fights the truck driver. I don't want to hear, because he would never have gone near Teofimo Lopez in his life. This fight is that damn good. Shakur is supposed to win, but Teofimo is the dangerous X factor that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur...
All right. Now, in typical ego fashion, when I unpack stuff, I know I've already made my point. I could really, y'all should pay me for this. Cash App in the description, super chat, super thanks. Y'all should pay me for, y'all, I should charge you a fee. What did Jay-Z say? I should charge you a fee, because I could end the video right now and I've already cooked you. But I like to save the best for last. This man is like Tank fight one Uber driver after another, right? You heard it. I played it right now several times. He's like, I don't want to hear from the Tank
you can
fans.
get beat. And I don't ever want to hear any of you Tank nut huggers that he fights one Uber driver after another. If Shakur Stevenson loses this fight, I don't ever want to hear any of you saying, oh, what about Shakur now with Tank this, Tank that. Tank fights the guy that delivers my...
Okay, so again, we've already talked about Tank's resume, but save the best for last. The man who's calling Tank fighting a bunch of Uber drivers, Paulie Malignaggi, just fought a bare knuckle fight against a guy who's a boxer. This is who he fought. Oh, bro, you be for real. Be for real, yo. Now, you could argue, oh, but ego is bare knuckle. But what is bare knuckle? Bare knuckle, you're not getting kicked in the head. You're not getting hit with knees and arm bars. Bare knuckle is like a stripped down version of boxing, right? You got to use these. You can only kind of really use your footwork to get in position. So you're basically boxing. If you have success as a boxer in bare knuckle, you're just doing it with less padding. You know what I mean? Which obviously you can create more damage with no glove or whatnot. But you see people like Austin Trout. Austin Trout in boxing wasn't known as a big puncher at 54 or whatever. But he's having a lot of success. He's in a tournament right now with bare knuckle and he's knocking dudes out. So that shows you that if your face and your chin and your hands can keep up with it, a boxer having more craft will have a lot of success even in bare knuckle because it's still a stand-up fight, right? You're still striking with blows. You know what I mean? And Austin Trout is proof to that. So tell me why Paulie fights this dude. He got a record of 13-6. He only has 4 knockouts. He's been knocked out 3 times in boxing. Nobody's ever heard of this guy, Tyler Goodjohn, right? Have you seen him? Tell me, have you seen? He got a 30% knockout ratio. He's from the UK, mate. He's 34 years old, right? And his last boxing fight in 2024, he fought an 11-0 guy, 11-0-1 guy on Pro Box and got knocked out. Not a TKO, but in 2 rounds, he got knocked out. So what I need to know from you guys, Paulie, why is this man saying I'm tired of Tank fighting Uber drivers? I'm sick of it. Tank need to stop fighting Uber drivers. But then he fights this random UK dude in a bare knuckle fight, which is basically boxing with no padding. And for months, the man had to wear patches on his eye, looking like an Oakland Raider. And he got the Kumo D glasses. Hey, yo, bro, it's looking ugly, dog. Hold on. The man said, I'm tired of Tank fighting Uber drivers. But for the last, your fight ended a minute ago, dog. Paulie Malignaggi fight ended a minute ago. And you got the Kumo D glasses on because your eye you gave up your eye. And now you got to wear these Robo Murphy, dead or alive. You're coming with me. Bro, where's Ed 209? You got these RoboCop glasses on because your eyes is still busted up from bare knuckle fighting because you just had to come back. You got the Kumo D, the Wild Wild West. When I roll into the Wild Wild West. Bro, he got the Kumo D. The Kumo D, Bret Hart, the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. He wearing more glasses than Boxing Ego, and he talking about Tank keep fighting bums. And this is his fight after his bare knuckle fight. This is how his face was looking, bro. I just showed you the guy resume. Bro, this is who did this to you. Tyler Goodwin, who got no cracks, 30% knockout ratio, and he only in boxing in almost 20 fights, he only had 4 knockouts. Only 4. But he got your face looking like this in bare knuckle. Bro, you can't be serious. Paulie Malignaggi got to be stopped. You're talking about why does Tank keep fighting bums, and you literally fought a former boxer with a horrible record, with no power, who's inactive, who's from the UK, and they got like 1 or 2 champions in the whole UK right now, and he's 34 years old, and this is how he got your face looking, and you've been wearing Kumo D glasses ever since. This is Paulie after his BF whatever, bare knuckle fight game fight. In his eye, he talking about he tore up his retina and all this type of stuff, and you got the Kumo D joints on, and you talk about I'm sick of seeing Tank fight bums. And again, this is what y'all listening to. Y'all listening to this mumbo jumbo. That's why I said everybody got a podcast, but not all of them are good. Not everyone's gonna keep it real like Boxingego keep it real. Tell me why a person, Paulie wasn't no superstar in boxing. Adrian Broner was like, oh man, you know, AB, about Brooklyn, I took his belt and his girl, right? Broner was talking to him crazy. You lost to Artem Lobov in bare knuckle as well. You're a boxer and you lost to an MMA guy in the bare knuckle stuff, which is stand-up fighting. You just had to fight with the Tyler Goodwin or whatever, Little John, Littlefoot or whatever the dude name is, and you can't beat him, and he got a 13-6 record with no cracks. Couldn't make it as a boxer for real. And you talking about I'm sick of Tank. He keep fighting my Uber drivers and pizza delivery drivers and blah, blah, blah. Just look at it. Paulie Malignaggi left blind and severely swollen after bare knuckle win. So I guess he won, but at what cost? Okay, so you won, but you worried about Tank, and this is how you looking after your fight against a guy with no power. Like him, I expect him to look kind of beat up. And actually, he still look kind of better than you, pause. Your face is all cut up, looking like Chucky. Remember when Chucky had them stitches? Hold on. Hey, Andy, I thought we were friends to the end. Hold on, bro. Tell me this. Paulie ain't on this. Hold on. Let me pull it up for y'all. I'm going to pull it up. I'm the best in the business, and it's not even close. Bro, this look like Paulie right there. Same energy. And you keep talking about Tank. You worried about Tank. You need to be worried about some other things. Look, this is, tell me, it's not. Ade Dewey Dembalaya Tuesday May Esta Quadimore. Give me the power. I beg of. Same energy. Same energy. I'm gonna just do this and fill out this video because we getting paid off this. Same energy, bro. Charles Lee Ray. And you worried about Tank and who he's fighting. And bro, the game, I'm done, bro. The game is fake. The boxing game is fake because everyone keep having these like hot takes, but then when you strip it down like I did in this video, it don't even make sense. Oh man, Tank keep fighting bums. I'm sick of it. And then you look at it, these guys are becoming champions. But then Devin Haney, he'll fight a guy like Jojo Diaz, and then he just kept losing after Devin. George Kambosos kept losing pretty much after Devin, right? Shakur Stevenson, Nakatila, he kept losing after Devin or after Shakur, right? Nakatila or whatever, and Nakatanis and all this stuff. What did they go on to do? Robson Conceição, he really should have lost twice to O'Shaquie Foster. And then these guys are getting a bunch of praise and they don't even have, their resumes not even aging well where the guys they beat don't even go on to do anything. Shakur beat Oscar Valdez, and then Emmanuel Navarrete cooked him worse and stopped him. He cooked him twice, had his face looking crazy, then did the rematch and stopped him. Joet Gonzalez went 12 with Shakur, and then Emmanuel Navarrete fought him, and then Emmanuel Navarrete cooked him and stopped him, almost stopped him. You know what I mean? And then they look at Tank's resume and say it's the worst in the bunch. But then they love Lomachenko. He got like 20 fights and really has more losses than his record shows. Man, I'm done. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate. So ultimately,